June of 2000 here coming at you with a movie review of Hostel from 2005, written and directed by Eli Roth. This was his second film, and he also collaborated with director and writer, filmmaker Quentin Tarantino of Pulp Fiction and Reservoir Dogs. He produced with this movie with Eli Roth, and they made Hostel. And of course, they would make Hostel 2 and 3. I didn't care for the sequels, but the first Hostel movie is really good. I really enjoyed the first Hostel movie. It's not many people's favorite movie, but I think this is a very entertaining torture horror movie. They want to call it torture porn, but I just call it like a torture movie. Something out of Saw, like it's a torture movie, but definitely disturbing. Up there with Saw and Martyrs. This movie is really, really good, and good practical effects by K and B. Good practical effects that look vicious, disturbing, gruesome, and brutally with all the disembodied parts, all the parts that are being tortured, everybody getting graphic, bloody wounds. There's very bloody stuff throughout this film. I really enjoyed this movie. This movie deserve a lot of appreciation, even though it's a lot of people don't hate it because I could see why a lot of people don't like it. Is because it does have some douchebag characters in the first start of the movie. When you get these characters, um, Paxton and his friend, who's played by Derek, his friend's Derek Richardson, and he would go on to play Lloyd. Oh wait, no, not Lloyd. I mean, he would play Harry in that prequel of Dumb and Dumber, and then he would also play a character in The Thing, where he in the Thing prequel, as you call it. He was like a character that gets attacked by the Thing and gets his face attached to one of them with a spider body. So that's Derek Richardson. He's been in a few movies. Jay Hernandez plays the character Paxton, who's the lead of the movie. I like Jay Hernandez. He's been in a lot of movies, of course. He was easily the best character in the Suicide Squad movie that came out in 2016. He played El Diablo. That was like the best character in the movie, and his acting was pretty good in that film. Which is, yeah, that movie does have trouble story time and production when that got released, so it got really fucked over. So who knows? We might see a Ayer version of it, but all in all, I thought Jay Hernandez was pretty good in Suicide Squad, and he was also in the He was in Quarantine remake. He was in the what else? There was a lot of movies that he was in, but those were like the two movies that I remember seeing him in. I know he was in Love and Beautiful uh with what's that actress name from Bring It On and Interview the Vampire? Kristen Dunst. Like him and Kristen Dunst were in that Love and Beautiful movie. That was pretty good romance teen flick movie from the early 2000s. But yeah, Jay Hernandez is a pretty good, capable actor. I know he was in that shitty prequel, Carlito's Way, Rise of Power. I kind of wish they did a sequel to Carlito's Way where he's Carlito's and Gail's child, and he goes out for revenge on his dad's death and going after Benny Blanco and his guys, like going in a badass rampage revenge story. That would have been really cool for him to play like Carlito's son. That would have been because he does look like, and he would resemble Carlito. Because of course he does portray him in the prequel, but it's a crappy prequel, and I kind of wish they did a sequel where he wants to take revenge on his dad. But Jay Hernandez is a pretty good, capable actor. Does a good performance as Paxton. Of course, the characters Paxton and his friend, they come off as a bit douchebags in the first half. Like you're like, oh, you have to follow these characters, but they start to warm up a little bit after that when one of their friends starts to go missing, and then you get like more story about Paxton, how he never saved this girl that went drowning, but her mom was screaming, and he wished that he would have done something, and the lifeguard didn't do nothing, and it still disturbs and haunts him to this day. Like good acting by Jay Hernandez in that scene. And of course, his friend, that's played by Derek Richardson, he would later be kidnapped and tortured because they don't realize these people that are foreign people that want to torture and pay money for it. It's kind of like it's kind of like a bit like the Purge, but they have to pay with torturing their victims, like extra moolah money, to be very sadistic, doing all these messed up things, torturing them, mutilating their bodies gruesomely. And yeah, it is it's like with this comment, it is kind of little bullshit. It's not the scariest movie in the decade, but it's more like a disturbing movie in the decade because this is a very powerful and disturbing film, up there with Saw and Martyrs. But this movie goes on with a bunch of torture. They find their picture of their friend, like saying, "Oh, I just went home," but it turns out the friend was decapitated by a torturer that was taking a picture of his decapitated head, and it leaves out with mysteries like why is this guy wearing his their friend's jacket? Who's wearing like an Icelandic jacket like his friend? And it's so mystery and so confusing with their mysteries like what's going on? We should leave. And of course, they kind of party for once, and then the friend Derek Richardson he gets wasted and he goes to sleep in his room, and then they kidnap him, and then Jay Hernandez is almost kidnapped, but he gets locked into a room, and Derek Richardson is like tortured by this foreign doctor guy that met them in the train earlier in the movie. Because they were going to the train and they met this doctor guy who's like talking calmly to them, eating salad and piece of ham, turkey with his hands instead of eating it with a fork. He's just like grabbing it with his hand and just eating it. And they're all disgusted looking at that, like. But and then he weirdly grabs Derek Richardson's leg and it freaks him out, like, dude, don't fucking touch me. And he just excused himself, like saying, "I'm sorry, I'll let myself out." Well, of course, Derek Richardson even forgave him later in the movie when he stumbles across these crazy kids that want to kill people for gums. Give us bubble gum and we'll leave you alone. And of course, the doctor's friendly about that and helps the helps Derek Richardson not get killed. So he has a talk with him with a few beers to drink, and but that guy would turn out to be the one that is torturing him, and he unmasks him and tortures him, cutting his leg by putting a drill into his legs and his knees, and then a lot of people don't realize he had cut his Achilles, and they think it makes you think that he just cut his wrist or something, but he's like, I always wanted to be a surgeon, but business is all boring to me. I prefer to just do it like this to be a surgeon. And he's just a crazy dude that pays money to torture people, like all these hostile workers, customers. And of course, he gets up and tells him, "You're free to go." He gets up and his Achilles torn off from his ankles, like, oh, they're fully cut. Really gruesome. And then he grabs Derek Richardson's and slices his throat, slit his throat to kill him. Paxton wakes up next morning. He's found by a janitor, wakes him up and tells him, "Hey, get out." And then Paxton goes to his room. His stuff is gone. His friends are gone. There was an Asian girl that they were gonna leave the train station with. She's gone, and he doesn't know what the hell is going on until he meets up with the girls that they bang. Because they do bang these hot foreign chicks early in the movie, but he asks them, "Where the hell is my friend? I want to get my friend out of here." And then of course they take him to the place, and it's the hostel place, and he takes him. They take him to the place because they are working with the crazy hostel people, and he sees his friend getting surgically dissected from his chest and his rib cage by the crazy doctor dude that just killed him. And of course, it makes him all freaked out, cursing out the foreign girl. And then they kidnap Paxton. He's like going through like rooms where a bunch of people are getting tortured. One's getting their crotch tortured. One of them's getting like their face bashed with a baseball bat with not nails. One of them's getting their throat slit through like the Prowler with a knife. Ugh, it's just really gruesome stuff. Paxton is tortured, and then he even like speaks German to the torture guy, trying to tell him, "Please don't do this." And then the torture guy just puts an S&M ball on his mouth to shut him up. And of course, he's about to torture him until he like vomits through the ball, and a bunch of vomit comes out when he lets go of it. Just a bunch of vomit gag, because you know when you're tortured, you're gonna vomit because that means you're scared. But it's very terrifying. And of course, he gets his hand chopped up by the chainsaw by the torturer guy. And then the torturer guy runs towards Paxton with the chainsaw, slips, and it does like a really cool homage to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where the guy gets his leg chopped off by the chainsaw, and then Paxton releases himself from the chain of the cuffs and grabs a gun and shoots the dude in the face. Finally kills that torturer dude that tortured him. Paxton makes his leave, gets a gear to like disguise as a foreign person that's torturing people with a helmet on, and picks up his dead chopped up fingers. And he goes to a room, gets put on a rack where it's a bunch of dead people around that are being picked up and thrown to the furnace by this butcher guy. And then he has to kill this butcher guy with an axe. And he even sees his friend's dead body, and then he makes it out of there after he kills the butcher guy. Goes into the locker to make an impactful out escape where he is like disguised as a worker, where he's like wearing a coat, he has black gloves on, he has his business card, and of course, you get a crazy performance by this dude, Rick Hoffman. And I would say this was his most insane performance. Because I have seen Rick Hoffman in The Condemned, and I have seen him in the Day After Tomorrow movie. I have seen him in plenty of other movies. He was even in Thanksgiving. And it was cool that his character survived, which I was pretty like, wow, they didn't let him die, which was cool. He's gonna be in the sequel. But I like Rick Hoffman. I think he's a pretty good actor, very underrated, capable actor. He does this crazy, creepy performance as this American dude who's very turned on and interested in doing messed up torture stuff on people, like he wants to do it on a European or a foreign person. Like it just really excites him. Like you could tell this dude is really fucked up in the head. Like he is into torture. Cause like even like he has this creepy smile. It's like a pearl smile. Like he has like this creepy smile, you know. Cause I like it. It really gets me excited. Because I can tell you, I could kill somebody with this gun that I have here. Right? What do you think I should do? Because I'm telling you about this fucking gun. Should I shoot them or make it quick or make it slowly? And of course, Jay Hernandez is like all creeped out, like, just do it slowly. He's like, no, yes. Keep saying yes, no. Maybe I should, yes. No, fuck this thing. Fuck this dude, fucking American dude. I'm going fucking old school. Who wants this, motherfucker? Who gets some? Come and get me. Come on, motherfucker. Come get me. Like, the dude is just insane and out of his elements. Like, it's such a crazy performance by Rick Hoffman. Very underrated actor. Where Jay Hernandez is making an escape, but he makes his escape, but he hears screaming, and then he sees Rick Hoffman torturing a person, and he shoots Rick Hoffman, and then he saves the Asian girl that was gonna ride the train with with Paxton and his friend. They were gonna get like go home on the train. He's torturing that girl, and he saves her, but he has to graphically cut her eye because her eye is all like dingling and out of her eye socket, all burned out. So he has to cut in, a bunch of pus comes out. It's just, oh, that is very vicious. That's a vicious, brutal effects by K&B. Like K&B does a really good job with these special effects, making it really brutal and vicious. They make their escape, but they are caught by cops in the front of the traffic, and then they make their escape to the train station. But the girl's like seeing herself, like, oh, she has a really messed up eye, and they want to escape, but she does like a diversion, even though it makes it like show like, oh, she doesn't like the way she looks, but it's kind of like a diversion for Paxton to get out of there because there were the foreign people that are the torturers in the hostel. They're looking for Toxin, and then they're looking for her, and they're all over the train station. And of course, she makes her sacrifice by jumping in front of a train, and everybody gets all blood and guts all over themselves, but they're distracted. So Paxton is able to leave, make it on the train. But of course, moments before that, they were almost chased down by these two foreign guys from the hostel. But they get helped by the crazy kids that wanted bubble gum. They give them bubble gum and then have a trap for those two hostels to get their head bashed in by rocks and metal. And so those two foreign people are killed. And he even runs over the the girls that him and his friend banged earlier in the movie. They ran into those people that just fucked them over, and he run them over, like killing them instantly. So like that's cool. They got their comeuppance. But yeah, when they made it to the train station, Katanga dies in front of the train, and then it's like a diversion for Paxton to get out of there. So he goes on the train, and then he hears the foreign doctor that killed his friend, is on the train, and he follows him to the bathroom, uses a business card to distract him and grab his hand, and brutally cut his three fingers off with the knife, just boom, cutting it off, blood coming out on the floor, hitting him in the head with the bathroom stall and shoving his face in the toilet and showing his face through the mirror of the bathroom stall and slicing his throat and throwing his face back in the toilet, and got his revenge on that sick dude that killed his friend. And Paxton goes on the train, makes his badass retreat, sitting on the train, got his revenge, is about to head home, and that's how Hostel ends. Very badass film. That first, it does slag on in the first half because the characters are kind of douchebags in the first half, but you kind of root for Paxton in the third act of the movie because the third act is pretty badass. And I really enjoyed Hostel from 2005, the second film by Eli Roth, and I really enjoyed even Thanksgiving that came out this year. Thanksgiving was a good film. But yeah, I really enjoyed Hostel. I thought Jay Hernandez was good as the lead as Paxton. Welcome to Your Worst Nightmare. This movie is really good. I highly recommend folks who never seen Hostel 2005, check it out. It's a really brutal film. If you like Saw, definitely check it out. It's a very vicious film like Saw. But yeah, Hostel from 2005, brutal film and awesome. Have a good day, everybody. Bye bye.